Quick question. When was the last time a display ad changed your mind? Now think about the last time a friend told you about something they loved. Different feeling, right? That's how podcast advertising works. A host who's built real trust with their audience talks about your brand in their own words, in their own voice. It doesn't interrupt the experience. It's part of it. With Acast, you can access the world's largest podcast marketplace. Choose the right shows, the right audiences, the right format. Then watch the data tell you it worked. You're not buying impressions. You're buying influence. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.
Oh, Bonnie, total eclipse of my heart.
Eavesdroppin.
Hello there to Michelle, the lady opposite me, and all of the lovely eavesdroppers. You're here again. It's eavesdropping time. It's Wednesday.
Hi to you, my fellow co-host, Geordie, and to the eavesdroppers.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm Michelle. You are listening to Eavesdroppin, the comedy podcast. We've done it very quickly this episode. It's not normally like us.
Oh, I'm Geordie, by the way. No one said my
I
name.
introduced you already.
Did you? Oh, I wasn't listening.
I said my co-host, Geordie.
Yes, I'm Geordie. She's Michelle. Get used to it. Deal with it. Get over it.
You've probably been getting used to it if you've been listening to us for quite a while. How long have we been bloody going?
I think
5
it's about
years?
5 years. Maybe coming up to 5.5. Almost 6.
Goodness me. Almost 6.
Oh, God. Get more for murder.
Oh, Jesus. That's true. Oh, my God.
You do get more for murder. The joke actually goes, you get less for murder.
Yeah.
That's when you've been married to someone for 20
Yeah,
years.
you get less for murder. Less for murder, but more for your money.
More bang for your bunk.
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 More bang for your top bunk.
We're getting all the little sayings wrong today, aren't we? Well, I
But
am.
you know what? That was actually quite clever if you had meant to say it, because
I didn't.
you didn't. But
I meant to say it.
I meant to say it. Do they still have bunks in prison? Do write in, all those prison listeners.
Oh, come on, prison guys. We know you're out there.
Yes, and we know you're listening.
Those prison chaps, they love, and ladies, they love a good eavesdrop. And we're here for you too. In fact, some of you may have even featured on some of our episodes. Who knows? I mean, it does have a way of finding the people we talk about, that's for sure.
I know. And don't come for us.
Don't come for us. One of those people, of course, defense attorney Ken, a.k.a. McCracken Poston Jr.
McCracks.
I have a little sad news. It's not about McCracken, but his doppelganger, Sam Neill. I'm so sad. He died.
Oh, my God.
He died.
That's terrible.
I'm heartbroken.
McCracks, if you're listening, there's a Hollywood chair.
Why are you calling him You can't call him McCracks.
McCracken, if you're listening.
I don't think he likes that.
Has he written in and said he doesn't like
He hasn't written in.
McCracken, if you're listening, there is a Hollywood place for you.
No, don't just replace Sam Neill immediately. Come on, let's celebrate Sam.
But you know what? Do you remember we have talked
He was
about...
a beautiful man.
He is a
Beautiful man.
beautiful man. Do you remember we talked in a previous episode about the comedian guy who they thought was a doppelganger?
No.
He did The Mask.
Oh, the guy who does the Jim Carrey.
Do you know what? You could just slip McCracken in and no one would realise it wasn't Sam Neill.
He could be one of those,
Looky-likeys.
looky-likeys. But I just want to talk about Sam Neill for 5 minutes because I followed him on social media and he was so lovely. He had a winery and he was living a beautiful life in New Zealand. He was actually born in Northern Ireland and his real name is Nigel and he's a Sir, raised in New Zealand. And he was obviously in films such as, I think the first time I was aware of him was The Grown-Up Damien in Omen Part 3.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, of course, Nicole Kidman's kind of inappropriately older husband in that fabulous first film of hers, Dead Calm.
Right.
Great film. Watch that, Dead Calm. Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
The Piano. And recently we saw him in Untamed with fellow Antipodean, what's his name? The guy that was the Hulk. The guy that was the comedian first. And he was also Uncle Chop Chop. What's his name, that actor?
Oh, the good one.
Vincent. No, his name's not Vincent. His name is
Eric
Banana.
That's it.
That's how I remember. Eric Banner.
Eric Banner. Yes. Good remembering.
Oh, thanks.
Remembering.
Thanks. Good for remembering. Took me a half an hour to get there.
You got there. I didn't get there. I would have woken up tomorrow and gone, Eric Banner. So, no, it's Sam Neill. What a gem. What a joy.
He died of a rare form of cancer. I think he thought he was through it. He was married and divorced twice with 3 kids. He had 1 adopted child. He adopted his second wife's older child. And when he died, he was with an Australian political journalist called Laura Tingle, if you know who that is.
Laura Tingle? I have heard of her. Laura Tingle.
But guess how old he was, Michelle?
How old?
78. That shocked me.
Yes, I thought he was younger, for sure.
Yeah.
But 78 these days is the new 58. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. She said it.
Longevity stuff and all of that, you know, everyone's aging backwards these days. Although you did mention Nicole Kidman recently. Now, I just watched a TV show with her in it called Margot's Got Money Troubles.
Is it good?
I didn't love it, no. I kind of am a little conflicted about how they portray OnlyFans in it. Ultimately, they are pro OnlyFans and, you know, women supporting themselves through sex work and whatever. But I just struggled a little bit with the dialogue and the way that they approached it. But Nicole Kidman is in it and she is almost unrecognizable. And I had to ask myself, has she got prosthetics in her face for this series? Because she is in. Like, it's almost like they have put something in her face. Like, her chin is a bit Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what's happened to her because she is borderline unrecognizable in this. Any of our intrepid eavesdroppers have any of the inside intel on whether or not she did actually have prosthetics or some implants or something for this role? Get in touch. Or is it just how she looks now? I'm confused. Officially.
Well, I'm trying to look at pictures of her in it. She has got a very long face.
She used to have that cute little pointy, tiny chin. She used to have a tiny little face, and now everything is wide and long, and I don't know what's going on.
She may have had tweaks and tweak upon tweak upon tweak.
I'm all for women.
Yeah, tweak away.
You know, tweaking it out, you know, to make themselves...
Tweaking a zhuzh? What's wrong with that?
Feel good.
Just don't go crazy.
Nothing, but
it's okay to look a bit old.
Yeah, yes, but it was a little bit shocking. So if you're with me with this, do write in.
Okay.
I'd like to know if I'm just the only one.
I haven't finished with celebrity deaths, by the way. Another 78-year-old died over the weekend. Now, as of the time of recording...
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
Yeah, former Conservative politician and Strictly contestant and Reform spokeswoman Anne Widdicombe. Most people, when we heard about it at the weekend, just thought she'd died of old age. But then the truth slowly came out and we found out it was much more shocking. So love her or not, she certainly did not deserve such an ending. It was discovered she was beaten to death. She died of serious injuries. Somebody had broken into her house or somehow gained access to her house. Police first arrested a 26-year-old man who they later released without charge by Monday, yesterday, as of time of this recording. Then they arrested another man who lived at the other end of the country up in Rotherham in the north. And they had pictures of him leaving his house with a pole.
Right.
Which I think must be the murder weapon. And he travelled all the way down south to Anne's remote cottage in Devon. And now I'm seeing reports that it's terror-related. So there's a lot of politicians at the moment who are looking over their shoulders. It's quite scary, actually.
Yes. Look, I was getting all of those alerts on my phone. First of all, I was like, Anne Widdicombe's dead. Shit. Okay. And then it was like alert after alert about someone's been arrested. Is it political assassination? Is it terror? All of this stuff. And it was like, what the hell is going on? But I will say, Geordie, when you said there is another celebrity death, I did think that you meant Bonnie Tyler because
I didn't know she died.
died.
Oh, Bonnie, total eclipse of my heart.
I know. The whole world was a bit sad about Bonnie Tyler. So that's who I thought you meant. And then you actually went all serious about Anne Widdicombe.
It's the year of the 78s. It's not the 27 club. It's a 78 club.
I actually think Bonnie Tyler was 78.
Was she?
I think so. Are we actually onto something here?
Maybe. It's just a coincidence. It's nothing more than that, if it is the case. But I just want to say, in relation to Anne Widdicombe, like I said, she was quite a divisive character, but she was a character. And from the lady who told Graham Norton, we get one go this side of eternity, one go. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You take opportunities that you like and you go for it. And that's from Anne. And I say R.I.P. Sam and Anne.
And Bonnie.
And Bonnie. Sorry. Yes, Bonnie, of course.
And Bonnie. She was 75. So she didn't make the 78 club. Sorry about that. Yes, R.I.P. to them all. It's sad. It's sad when anyone dies, but, you know, these people in one way or another touched our lives.
Yeah.
And the lives of many.
I do actually have a little bit of good news in all of this, though.
You're right.
Do you remember we did an episode years ago about forced adoptions? And it was quite close to my heart, being an adoptee and the result of a forced adoption. Well, it's good news because Prime Minister Keir Starmer finally issued a formal state apology on July the 2nd, 2026, for the UK's historic forced adoptions, and gave a £4 million support package. This is after decades of campaigning by affected mothers and adult adoptees. There's an estimated 185 unmarried mothers in England and Wales who had babies removed between 1949 and 1976 due to social stigma. And the Prime Minister's questions, which I watched and sobbed through, was so moving. So I am thrilled that Keir Starmer, as his kind of bowing out and making way for Andy Burnham as our new Prime Minister, has pledged £4 million for a 3-year fund that will help victims access their adoption records and counselling for them as well, which is sadly, the records, you can't even get them or they're redacted. It's just outrageous.
Yeah,
you can't have access to your own information about your birthright and where you're from.
Well, they've probably been buried, a lot of them, because they knew what they were doing was wrong at the time.
Yeah, so that's my good news, bad news portion of today's episode, Michelle.
Well done.
Bad news, good news, I went.
Yeah, bad news, good news, and it's long overdue. Long overdue.
Absolutely.
Is it right? Are we wrong? Is it fact or is it just my opinion?
Kind of be both.
Don't sue me.
This week, Geordie, it's a bit of a true crime mystery.
Oh, true crime, did you say? True crime. True crime.
It is. And it's an Australian true crime mystery. So I am taking you back to 1960s Australia.
I love it there.
Yes. I mean, I didn't know it, but it's the stuff of folklore and legend.
Yes, I didn't know it either. Too young to know the 1960s.
Yes, Australia.
I'm too young.
You know, we grew up with all of the folklore and old cars.
Are you talking about drop bears and bunyips? Is that what you mean when you say folklore for Australia?
Just more of, you know, Australia was the lucky country. It was all meat pies and FJ Holdens, and it seemed like a simpler time. But was it?
Panel vans and fingering.
Well, hold your horses on that.
Coke cans as contraception.
As what?
Coke cans as contraception.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, apparently that's like a douche and that would wash the sperm out.
Oh, my God.
That's what our mothers used to think.
Well, I had an ex-boyfriend who worked in an abattoir in New Zealand.
Oh.
And he was on the organic condom section.
What? Where is this going? I don't even know.
Prophylactics, condoms.
Oh.
That's what it is. And it's like a sausage skin, but you would pop it over the D.
What are you popping it over?
The D, the penis.
But what the hell? He's working in an abattoir. Why does he have to put a condom on? I don't get it.
Are you actually shitting me right now?
You just said I had an ex-boyfriend who worked in an abattoir and he worked in the prophylactics department. Then I started questioning you.
Making organic condoms.
Out of what?
The skins. It's like a sausage skin.
Fuck. Ew. What, so the gut lining of a cow?
Yes.
Ooh, or a pig.
There are some elements, or not even the gut lining, it's like the intestines where there's no seams. So they would be making condoms out of this. I don't think they do it anymore, but he was in the Connie's section of the abattoir.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't his best job, he said.
It might have smelt. I've got something else that smells.
What else smells? What stinks for
I'll
you?
tell you what stinks in my house at the moment. I've got one of those tennis racket style electric bats that you kill flies with. Sorry, I know it's not very Buddhist, but they are everywhere. We don't have fly screens here in the UK, and we're in the middle of our third heat wave, proper heat wave, 35 degrees daily, relentless, and the flies are beyond. My husband devised a trap yesterday, and I just heard that thing ping, 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 fry, 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 until I was eating dinner and I looked over and saw it, and I couldn't finish my dinner because it was just so appalling. Then the smell came.
No.
It smells of shit.
What?
Fried flies. If you have 30 flies on one of those rackets, those electric rackets, dead, frying. Oh,
God.
I can't even talk about it. It's so awful. The smell filled the house. We were like, get it out.
Get those filthy flies out.
Stop the experiment now. I hated it.
Do you know what? We've faced a similar thing at the restaurant because there has been a massive fly invasion in all of Switzerland. Obviously, in a restaurant, you can't have that.
No, you can't have flies.
But we also don't have screens or anything because we had, in a normal year, less than 2 weeks a year that's really hot and not really any flies. This year, no. So Andreas went online and found this massive, a little bit like your tennis racket, but huge for a horse stable to kill these flies. Blue lights, the blue kind of things. And we put it on when we leave at night.
Yeah.
And even from the second he plugs it in, it's zzz, 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 zzz. But unlike yours, somehow they zzz and they fall into a drop tray. So there's no smell. Thank God. But it's intense. And the thing is, we have to sort of say to our guests, because every now and again you get a fly buzzing inside the restaurant. People don't like it. And we say, we're very sorry, we're in the mountains. It's just nature. And they said, without exception, all of our guests have said, Zermatt's the best we've come across in Switzerland. You should go down to Lucerne. You should be in Zurich. It is infested.
What? What's going on?
So they're all like, don't worry about it. So we're like, for you.
I've got a theory. Because it's so hot and the glaciers are melting, all of the
ancient,
like the prehistoric ancient
flies.
Bones and the actual the mammoths are now being exposed, and then the flies are flocking.
I don't know.
Or maybe they've come out of the glaciers. I don't know.
But we had 2 people die on the mountain yesterday.
What?
Yeah, they just hiked up the Matterhorn. They were 2 of them on ropes, no guide. Not recommended. 1 tripped, and because they're roped together, they both tumbled to their death.
Oh, my God.
So be careful, peeps.
I hate your stories about the mountain.
I know. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to a grizzly story then.
Okay, even better.
We're going back to 1960s Australia, where we first started this conversation.
That's right. Sorry, we segued hard.
We did, indeed. And it is just before 8 a.m. on New Year's Day, 1963. There's a 16-year-old guy called Michael McCormick. He is walking along the banks of the Lane Cove River in Sydney when he sees a man lying on his belly in the grass. He's got a dark suit on and his arms are slightly out by his sides. And Michael, who's 16, his first thought was, oh man, this dude had a big one on New Year's Eve and he's just sleeping it off. But as he gets closer, I think the guy's head must have been sort of to the side. He thought, that guy's face appears to be turning blue.
Oh.
But Michael's like, he's probably just drunk. And he keeps on walking.
Oh, dear.
Because he's off to meet his mate, Dennis, at the nearby Chatswood Golf Club because they decided they're going to go and hunt for lost golf balls. And he doesn't want to be late for his friend.
A simpler time.
It's definitely a simpler time. An hour later, Michael and Dennis are walking back along the same track and the man in the suit is still there in exactly the same position.
God.
So Michael moves in for a closer look and he realizes the man's face has gone a bit darker.
Oh, no.
He doesn't appear to be breathing. So Michael's like, let's get the fuck out of here. But Dennis is like, hey, hang on, we need to tell someone. So the 2 boys go to the nearby Lane Cove kiosk and they tell the shopkeeper there, who follows them back to the body. And when they go back, Michael notices something that he didn't realise the first time he saw the man. There's a piece of carpet sticking out from underneath the man's jacket.
Oh.
And when he looks more closely, he sees that the man's jacket hasn't actually been put on.
Oh.
It's been
laid
draped
over.
Exactly. Laid over the man's shoulders and down his back to look like he's wearing it. But the right sleeve perfectly follows the angles of the arms. The trousers are the same. They're just neatly laid over bare legs with the seams.
Is he naked?
Perfectly.
Underneath.
Pretty much.
Ah.
Semi-naked. Yes.
Gosh. So they've really spent time arranging the outfit to follow the contours of the body.
To look like he's fully dressed. So the shopkeeper calls the police. They then arrive around 10 o'clock in the morning. The attending sergeant takes off the jacket and finds that the man is wearing a white shirt with his top buttons undone and a necktie that is loose around his neck, and a piece of dirty brown carpet is draped over his torso. He's got shoes and socks on, but no underwear, and his trousers have been placed on top of his bare legs, and the body is in a clear state of rigor mortis. But there are no obvious signs of violence anywhere. Just a puddle of vomit next to the body. So police begin searching the area, and an officer heads down towards the mud flats, which are about 15 metres south of where the body is, so pretty close, and he sees an indentation in the mud, which is roughly 5 feet long and 2 feet wide, and it's covered by a few flattened beer boxes. And he lifts one of these boxes up and he yells to his sergeant, "I can see part of a woman's head."
Oh my God, what the hell's happened here? It's like 7. I've just given away the end of 7.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys.
Spoiler! So under those boxes, there's a young woman with dark hair, and she is lying on her back as though she was sleeping. Her head is slightly turned to the left, with her right arm resting on her stomach. Her left arm is by her thigh, and she is wearing a fake pearl necklace, and the straps of her dress have been pulled down to expose her breasts. The sergeant lifts her arm and notices a wedding ring on her hand, and he checks for a pulse, but there's nothing. She's dead. But she's still slightly warm.
Oh my God.
And rigor mortis has not yet set in. So when the police pull the beer boxes off her, they find her bra has been rolled down across her stomach, and she's wearing a white dress with a red rose pattern, which is rolled up around her waist. And she's got a white slip-on that's torn and muddy, and no underwear on.
What's a slip-on? You mean a petticoat?
Yes. No, her white slip is torn.
Oh, right, a white slip-on.
She has a white slip on.
Right,
she's
got it.
Wearing it, but it's torn and muddy. And she has no underwear on.
Uh-huh.
And she's got no shoes on. And her feet and knees are covered in mud.
Right.
And there's a pair of men's underwear at her feet, stained with shit.
Oh, no.
There's vomit and shit everywhere, all around them.
God.
But other than that, there's a few small scratches on her shoulder, but there's no defensive marks or signs of a struggle. So, 2 semi-naked bodies, 15 metres apart, both carefully covered, one with beer boxes, one with the clothes. There's no obvious signs of death here. There's no weapons, no drugs, nothing. There's just shit and vomit everywhere.
Bloody hell.
But the police think, maybe this shit and vomit indicates poisoning.
Yeah.
So they start to search the area, but they can't find anything that points to anything. So the police divers get involved and they start to search the water, but it is too murky and polluted to see anything. Yeah.
In Lane Cove.
It's not a nice spot. The only footprints in the mud belong to the woman, which tallies up with her having walked to the riverbed before collapsing.
Right.
Going back to the man's body, they find a wallet in his pocket with several £5 notes, because this is before they changed over to Australian dollars.
Yeah. Decimal.
Yeah, I mean, we had pounds and pence, and then they moved over to dollars and cents. Yep. There's a driver's license and a few papers in this jacket, and they all say the same name. Dr. Gilbert Bogle.
Oh.
Bogle? Bogle.
Mm-hmm.
B-O-G-L-E.
Bogle.
Bogle. I'd like to say Bogle,
Yeah.
but Bogle just sounds so funny. Anyway, Bogle.
We're not laughing. He died.
He died. He's 39 years old.
Oh.
He's from the wealthy suburb of Turramurra on Sydney's Upper North Shore, about 10k from where the bodies were found.
Yeah.
The detectives go to Gilbert's house, where his wife, Vivian Bogle, answers the door, holding a baby. 3 more young children come to the door.
Gee whiz.
And she's like, I've been worried sick about Gilbert. He didn't come home from a New Year's Eve party. Gilbert, she explained, worked as a physicist for the CSIRO, which is the government-run Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation.
Yeah.
He'd been working there for the past 7 years, and he was considered by his boss and most people to be kind of a genius. He was originally from New Zealand, but he'd completed a doctorate at Oxford in the UK on a Rhodes Scholarship. So this dude was
Smart.
fucking smart. Yeah. Plus, he spoke quite a few languages, he played the clarinet, and by all accounts, he was an extroverted and warm and really popular guy. Vivian said he'd left the previous night to go to a party that his CSIRO colleague, Ken Nash, and his wife, Ruth, were throwing.
Yeah.
And that she'd woken up at 5 a.m. to find that he still hadn't come home.
Awful.
Back at the Lane Cove River, police checked the nearby car park and found an old Ford Prefect with unlocked doors and the keys tucked into the sun visor of the car. And it was registered to Gilbert Bogle.
That was his car.
Mm-hmm. And on the back seat was a leather case with his clarinet inside it, and also, weirdly, an abstract painting of what looked like a 2-headed woman surrounded by a severed foot and a hand.
That sounds a little creepy and occulty.
Well, it's not. It's actually just a bit, what? Because after speaking to Vivian, detectives went to the Nash's house in Chatswood, which was where the party was, which was only about 5 kilometres away from the scene of the bodies.
Yeah.
And Ken and Ruth Nash both confirmed that Gilbert had been one of 22 guests at their annual New Year's Eve party, and that he'd got there around 9:30 at night with his clarinet, along with that abstract painting which he'd drawn at their request.
Oh.
Because apparently for this New Year's Eve party, guests had been asked to bring some kind of artwork for the evening, which makes me think, what the fuck kind of party was this?
Is this like an Eyes Wide Shut style affair?
Well, hold your horses, Nelly, because there's a little bit of this coming up.
Okay.
When I go to a party, I take a bottle of something. I don't take...
You don't take a hand-drawn, weird, amputated woman with 2 heads as a painting.
Exactly. So I don't know. It is...
Who does homework for a party anyway?
I know. It's all a bit odd. Gilbert, that night, he was the life of the party, as usual, is what the Nashes had said. And then they said, hey, was there a dark-haired woman at the party in a white rose pattern dress? And the Nashes both looked at each other and they said, yep. Her name was Margaret Chandler, and she was the 29-year-old wife of CSIRO engineer Geoffrey Chandler. Now, the Chandlers had only been added to the party guest list a week earlier at Gilbert's request, because he'd apparently met Margaret at a CSIRO Christmas barbecue 10 days earlier. And they'd hit it off immediately, and Gilbert had suggested the Nashes invite the couple along. So the Nashes said Margaret had been pretty quiet at the party, mainly just sitting on the lounge sipping a drink, while Gilbert, on the other hand, was the life and soul. They said they hadn't particularly noticed him paying her any more attention than to anyone else.
Yeah.
But they did notice that the two left together shortly after 4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock?
Yep. These people, they might be nerdy scientists.
But they know how to party.
Yeah, they know how to party. They said the two left together and that Margaret's husband, Geoffrey, was not with them. Now, local police knew that the Lane Cove car park near Fuller's Bridge was a well-known lover's lane spot.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I love that term, lover's lane.
A lover's lane.
Sounds very 1960s. And obviously, you know, we're in an era.
Now it's just called a dogging spot.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is an era before dogging was a thing. And apparently officers were there regularly to deal with, quote, peeping toms.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And illegal dumping. Hence why the river was polluted and not nice.
Oh, I see. It was a tip.
Kind of, yes. And not just for people, but also for companies. God. It didn't take long for them to piece together the theory that Gilbert and Margaret had left the party together and had stopped there for a bit of action.
Right.
Rumpy-pumpy, hide the sausage, whatever you want to call it. So given that both bodies were found semi-naked and the carpet found under Gilbert's body was actually taken from the boot of Gilbert's car.
Right, I thought
and put on the ground for a bit of comfort or whatever. Police then concluded that Gilbert and Margaret had gone to the riverbank willingly and that they were both in good health, but that something had happened very suddenly to them once they got there. Maybe hence all the vom and the poop. The poop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Give me the scoop.
Eavesdroppin' wins and there's no doubt about it.
Eavesdroppin'.
Quick question. When was the last time a display ad changed your mind? Now think about the last time a friend told you about something they loved. Different feeling, right? That's how podcast advertising works. A host who's built real trust with their audience talks about your brand in their own words, in their own voice. It doesn't interrupt the experience. It's part of it. With Acast, you can access the world's largest podcast marketplace. Choose the right shows, the right audiences, the right format. Then watch the data tell you it worked. You're not buying impressions. You're buying influence. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.
Forensic examination later confirmed that Margaret and Gilbert, they had not had the full D and the V sex.
Okay.
Fresh semen was found on Gilbert's jacket.
I just hate those two words together.
Okay, fresh jizz? What do you want me to say? Fresh cum?
It's all a bit ick.
I know, it's just... Look, it was on Gilbert's jacket and it was on his dick and balls,
Ew.
which did confirm that, you know, some kind of sexy stuff had gone on before whatever happened to them happened. The fact that neither of them had managed to put their clothing back on did suggest that something had hit them fast and without warning. So toxicology got involved and their initial reports showed no alcohol in either system.
None? After a big night out till 4 a.m. How did they manage that?
I don't know. Oh, you know, Margaret had just been sipping on a drink all night. And Gilbert, I don't know. But apparently no alcohol was found in their system. But then they also did testing for poisons like strychnine, cyanide, arsenic, barbiturates, and sleeping pills. All of these tests came back with nothing. So, like we've heard a million times, not just on this podcast, but on many podcasts, detectives were like,
Let's talk to the
let's
husband.
go talk to the husband.
I was waiting for that. But I feared that I would be told to hold my horses, Nelly, once again.
Well, hold your horses, Nelly, but it's not as juicy as you might think because they went to this modest weatherboard house in the not affluent Sydney suburb of Croydon around 1 o'clock on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Just after lunch. And a slightly dishevelled Geordie Chandler answered the door with a baby in his arms and a toddler by his side. And he said he did not know where Margaret was and that the last time he'd seen her was around 4 a.m. when he'd left the Nash's party.
Who had the babies?
I don't know who was babysitting.
Did they just leave them there?
No. The parents were of either one, I think.
Okay.
Well, Vivian was at home looking after the kids.
Yes, I understand
For Gilbert.
But what about these two who had a baby and a toddler?
The parents.
Okay, good.
His parents had them.
They did. All right.
Yes.
Thank God. It was the 60s.
It was the 60s. Seatbelts didn't exist. Geoffrey asked the police what's going on? Has there been an accident? The detective said, no, you need to come to the station. And at the station, a detective placed that afternoon's edition of the Daily Mirror in front of Jeffrey. And this is back in the day when papers had 2 editions.
Right.
And the front page headline read, quote, "Scientist, woman in death mystery."
Why would they do that? Why couldn't they just explain that his wife had died rather than showing them some, exploitative headline that's really, emotionally triggering? That's not a nice way to find out that your wife's dead.
Well, they think at this point he killed her.
Oh.
Jeffrey read it and apparently he showed no emotion, no reaction. Apparently he just reached into his shirt pocket, pulled out a ciggy and lit it in stone cold silence. So the detectives are like, okay,
bloody hell,
I think
Jeff.
we've got our killer. However, Jeffrey then told the detectives that he and Margaret had an open marriage.
Ah.
And that they were both free to root around with other people. He said Margaret had met Gilbert at the CSIRO Christmas barbecue and had told Jeffrey afterwards that Gilbert was the most interesting person she'd ever met. She's telling her husband this.
That's a bit much. Open or no?
And that she found him very attractive. Jeffrey's response had been, quote,
"Go for it, love.
If you want to take Gib as a lover, if it'd make you happy, you do it."
Oh, wow.
He'd even agreed to leave the party early so the two could have some privacy.
Oh.
So this is a very communicative, open marriage.
Yeah,
here.
very liberated for the times.
Very. Jeffrey explained that he'd slipped out of the Nash's party at around 11:30 p.m. to search for somewhere that was open so he could buy some cigarettes. But as he got further away from the party, he eventually decided to stop at another party he'd been invited to in Balmain, at the home of a friend called Ken Buckley, where his girlfriend was.
Oh.
Because turns out Jeffrey, in this open marriage, was shagging a 21-year-old woman called Pamela Logan for about 5 or 6 months previous.
Wow.
So he stayed at the Buckley's party for about an hour, and then he went back to Pamela's place until 2 a.m, and then he drove back to the Nash's party and found that it seemed nobody had even noticed that he'd gone.
You weren't missed.
No. And then he left the party.
Okay.
Around 4. So the detectives thought this has a ring of bullshit about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, then they spoke to Pamela Logan, who told them the exact same story in the exact same timeline. And she even mentioned that Jeffrey had said he'd arranged for another man to take his wife home that night.
So it all matched up.
It all matched up. And one of Pamela's housemates confirmed that Jeffrey had been at the Balmain party, and Margaret's parents confirmed that Jeffrey had arrived at their house at around 5 a.m. to pick up the children.
Right.
The same time, Gilbert was thought to have died. Basically, Jeffrey's alibi is pretty rock solid, and witnesses also confirmed seeing his car, which was quite a distinctive vintage car, driving through West Burwood around 4:45 a.m, which was roughly 20 kilometres from the Lane Cove River where the bodies were found. At that point, the Chandler's house was searched while he was at the station, and officers found a receipt in one of Margaret's handbags for something called Hyderex, which she'd bought 3 days earlier from a Dachshund breeder who'd given Margaret 4 tablets, and it was used to treat tapeworm in dogs, and it was not safe for human consumption. But 4 tablets wouldn't be enough to kill a human, and when Margaret and Gilbert's tissue samples were tested for Hyderex, nothing showed up. So that was a bit of a red herring.
All right.
Jeffrey, meanwhile, was interrogated at that police station for close to 13 hours, and his story never changed. When detectives took him to the city morgue, hoping to provoke a reaction from him, because at this point they're still thinking bullshit.
Yeah.
He looked at Margaret's body and said, quote, "She's a bit dishevelled, isn't she?"
Oof.
I mean, I have to say his reactions are a bit
weird.
Yeah.
But then there is an element of uncaringness about the whole kind of open setup, if you don't mind me saying. And that's coming from someone who doesn't really understand it, or I can't really put myself in the shoes of those people. I understand that people have open relationships, but I don't kind of get where does the intimacy and the connection come from for the initial couple, the ones that are married. It feels in this particular situation that he doesn't really give two hoots about her.
Although we also have talked about people grieve in different ways.
That's true.
Obviously, we've seen Linda Chamberlain went to jail because she didn't react how people would expect. Maybe there's a bit of all of that in Jeffrey's reactions. But he didn't do himself any favours, and he didn't come across as a grieving husband, which did make him seem suspicious. So the police then decided if this could be poisoning, let's go and test all the leftover food from the Nash's party. So they did that. They also contacted the 20-something other people who had been at that party, and none of them had been sick. Not even a guest who had eaten directly off Gilbert's plate.
Wow.
No poisons or bacteria were found, and medicines and household chemicals from Jeffrey's house and Pamela's house were all seized and tested. Everything came back negative. No leads.
Right.
They threw open the investigation and went down different avenues. So there was a single woman at the party called Joan Gordon who worked as a research scientist at the CSIRO. And she'd left the party at the same time as Gilbert. She lived alone and had no alibi, so police theorised that she could have been infatuated with Gilbert and followed them to Lane Cove.
Blimey, the CSIRO is quite the hotbed of sexy action, isn't it?
Well, yes, it seems so, all those randy scientists. But they could not place Joan at the scene, and the idea that she'd been driving around Sydney with an undetectable poison seemed unlikely, although they are all scientists.
Good point.
But then several other women came forward to the police to say that Gilbert Bogle was not the faithful family man his wife believed him to be. At least 2 married women said he'd made moves on them, and one, a married CSIRO librarian called Margaret Fowler claimed she'd been shagging Gilbert since 1959.
Wow.
During their sex that they were, getting it on, she said he would keep his shirt, shoes and socks on and remove only his trousers and underwear, exactly as Gilbert's body had been found at Lane Cove. Right. So Margaret said she really liked Gilbert, but he'd kind of treated her badly. And when he broke things off with her, she was heartbroken and had actually threatened to kill herself.
Oh, no.
At that point, it turns out the husband of Margaret had even agreed to her sleeping with Gilbert as long as it was outside their home.
Wait a second. I thought Margaret was a single woman. Oh, she was at the party on her own.
No, that was Joan.
Oh, Joan.
Joan's single. Margaret Fowler is the librarian at the CSIRO.
Yes.
There's a lot of ladies and they're all called Margaret. But this Margaret, yes, the husband, poor guy, he must have just thought, look, my wife wants to have an affair with this guy. Okay,
go for it.
Do
babe.
it. Yeah. But just don't do it in our house.
It was the swinging 60s.
It was a swinging 60s. Well, he came home one night to find Gilbert jumping over the balcony with his shoes in his hand.
He took him off.
So there's a few little things here. Yes.
Awkward. Orcs.
So detectives did consider whether Margaret Fowler or her husband Robert might have had a grudge and a motive here. But both were at a separate party 12 kilometres away, and they had walked home at 4 a.m. and their stories were corroborated. Of course, as you can imagine, this case became a media sensation. Sydney's tabloids were all over this Bogle-Chandler case. It was perfect fodder for them because you've got open marriages, late-night affairs, a dead scientist, a mysterious woman. Also, Jeffrey Chandler had a connection to a group known at the time as the Sydney Push, which was an informal collective of academics and artists and public servants and scientists with a reputation for free love and partying and heavy drinking. For conservative Sydney at that time in the mid-60s, his association with the push made the story even more scandalous and exciting. And it also didn't help that just 2 days after Margaret's death, Jeffrey introduced her brother, Margaret's brother, to Pamela Logan as his girlfriend. So it's all kind of all mixed up here. And then came the conspiracy theories. You've got people who were like, they're scientists. It's got to be Cold War nerve gas. Maybe it's a death ray. Maybe Gilbert was working as a spy. People even thought that maybe a funnel web spider was responsible. But quite a lot of these theories were apparently reasonably seriously investigated, but nothing stuck. Then, in May 1963, a coronial inquest was held at Sydney Central Court of Petty Sessions. Petty Sessions. And 50 witnesses were called and gave evidence over 3 weeks. And every aspect of this case was picked apart. But at the end of it all, Coroner Jack Looms delivered findings that were so shocking in their emptiness. He said, quote, "Every person I felt could give any information as to the deaths of these unfortunate persons has been summoned to appear." And then he said he was no closer to determining the cause of death than when the inquest first started.
Wow.
So basically, the investigation was a dud. Toxicologists tested hundreds of substances from domestic poisons through to agricultural chemicals. They brought in rare international toxins, aphrodisiacs, weed killers, venoms, even Interpol and Scotland Yard were brought in, but it all led to nothing.
Oh, they're missing something.
Yeah. Then in the late 80s, LSD came into the conversation because there was an inmate at a British prison who died after accidentally swallowing a capsule containing around 400 times the usual dosage of LSD.
What a way to go. Oh, my God.
It reminds me of those drug mules who shove it up there.
The condom breaks. More condoms. Yeah.
A scientist who was examining the case believed the symptoms of this British prisoner kind of matched those of Gilbert and Margaret. And he thought maybe the pair overdosed on the drug and that the 1963 testing had missed it because LSD apparently decomposes when exposed to sunlight. So you need a dark room to get an accurate analysis. And the original pathologists would not have known that back in 1963. There was an article in 1989 in the Sydney Morning Herald that was like, done, solved. LSD's responsible.
It was LSD because we can't prove that it wasn't.
Exactly. But in 1996, an American forensic toxicologist with advanced equipment was sent a relic of a tissue sample from Gilbert and Margaret.
Yeah.
The first test indicated the presence of LSD, but a second, more sensitive test came back absolutely negative. So the whole LSD thing was yet another dead end.
Okay.
Here's a tip for you. There's a podcast out there with fans waiting to be your next customer. They tune in every week, they trust the host, and that host wants to talk about brands like yours in their own words to their audience. The problem is, you just haven't been introduced yet. We're Acast, where that introduction happens. As the world's largest podcast marketplace, we let you browse shows, see who's listening, and book host-read sponsorships or run your own ads all from one platform. Transparent pricing, real-time data, complete control. Start advertising on podcasts by visiting acast.com/advertise.
Then, in 2004, Australian filmmaker Peter Butt, he started digging into this case because he wanted to make a documentary. While he was waiting for the police to give him access to the case files, he had this idea. Mangroves produce gas, including the potentially toxic hydrogen sulfide. Now, at low levels, it just smells like rotten eggs, but as concentrations increase, it neutralizes your sense of smell, so you don't smell it anymore. At 300 parts per million, it causes fluid in the lungs dizziness and diarrhea.
Oh.
At 700 parts per million, it paralyzes the respiratory center, causing rapid unconsciousness and death. And above 800 parts per million, 1 or 2 breaths is all it takes to kill you. Peter went to the Lane Cove death site and he found that the riverbanks were lined with mangroves.
No.
And that their aerial roots were sticking up from the mud.
Wow.
Apparently, hydrogen sulfide is heavier than air. In very cool, still conditions, it lingers close to the ground.
Right.
And on New Year's morning in 1963, that had been the conditions.
And they're lying on the ground, going for it.
Yeah, exactly. The week after Christmas had been the coldest on record for that time of year in Sydney, with really dank, misty mornings reported around Lane Cove. Peter also found that the spot that Gilbert and Margaret had, doing the do on was kind of an enclosed hollow where the gas would accumulate and get trapped. So Peter reached out to a guy called Thomas Milby, who was an American forensic toxicologist and member of the World Health Organization's hydrogen sulfide committee, who had done sort of more than 100 cases of hydrogen sulfide poisoning. So he flew out to Sydney to see the site himself, and he studied the autopsies and told Peter, quote, "I saw nothing in either report that would, in my opinion, exclude the possibility of hydrogen sulfide as being the culprit that killed them." So basically, he's saying, yeah, this could definitely have been the case.
But I've got this massive question mark. Who covered them up with their clothing and who covered her up with the boxes?
Hold your horses, Nellie. You knew I was going to say that. So this guy, Peter, contacted the chief toxicologist who'd worked on the original case, a guy called Vivian Marnie, and said, hey, this is my new theory. And he asked Vivian to walk him through every step of the testing process from 1963. And Vivian had really good recall on all of this stuff. And then at the end, he told Peter something he'd only ever discussed with his superior. And he said, I'm pretty sure they both died of the same thing. And I based this on the appearance of their blood. Both their bloods had a distinct purple coloration. And he tried for years to explain it and never could. Huh. And then Peter told Vivian something no one had told Vivian before.
Right.
That semen had been found on Gilbert's jacket and body, proving that the pair had been engaged in some kind of sexual act immediately before they died.
Yes, but we know it was all over his balls as well.
Yes, but no one had told the toxicologist this.
Oh, so they didn't.
And this single detail changed everything because Vivian had spent decades investigating poisons that might have been administered before Gilbert and Margaret left the party. But knowing that they had been healthy enough to get sexy at the riverbank meant that whatever killed them had acted very, very quickly while they were already there and in close contact with the ground. So Vivian was furious that he'd never been given this information, and he researched the hydrogen sulfide theory himself and came to his own conclusion, which was if he'd known about the semen evidence in 1963, the case would have been over in a week.
Oh, God.
So Peter Butt eventually did this television documentary. He also did a book and apparently a podcast, but I didn't find it. And then after the documentary aired in 2006, two people who'd been at Lane Cove on New Year's morning, 1963, came forward independently and both said it had been heavily polluted and putrid and that it really had stunk of rotten eggs that day. Right. And then a woman called Lorraine Blackwood got in touch to say that as an 11-year-old girl in 1963, a few days after the deaths, she and her sister had found a cream-coloured handbag in bushland about 5 kilometres from the death scene next to a stormwater drain. And inside was some makeup and a handkerchief and 2 bottles of white pills prescribed to Mrs. Margaret Chandler.
Oh, God.
But her mother had panicked and didn't want to get involved and they got rid of the handbag.
No.
Yeah. The bag was found directly opposite the home of a nephew of a guy called Eddie Batiste, who was a greyhound trainer that police had long suspected of being the person who had covered the bodies to preserve their modesty.
Oh, right.
Now, Eddie had died in 1976. However, his obituary in the National Greyhound News stated, as told to a close friend, that he was the one who had found Gilbert and Margaret's bodies. And his daughter described him as a secretive man. And his son said he was a moralist with an aversion to bare human flesh.
Ooh.
So whether Eddie Batiste really did cover the bodies and whether hydrogen sulfide really is the answer, it all remains officially unresolved.
Yeah.
No viable tissue samples from Gilbert and Margaret are left.
Yeah.
So to this day, they cannot do any testing.
That's it.
So the
it's
case
done.
is, it's still technically open. But Peter Butt's theory is the most scientifically credible, and most experts who review the case agree. That, Geordie, is the Bogle-Chandler case. Still officially a mystery, but sadly one left all these children without mothers and fathers.
Yes, so many children.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible, but I still have lots of questions as to why her handbag was so far away, how she got down 10, 15 meters away from him when she would probably have been the closest to the ground, and she's smaller, so she probably would have gone down first. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah. There's a lot of question marks around this case. And also, too, like if this was known as a really nasty, toxic dump, why are they going down there to have sex on a bit of rotten old carpet?
Needs must.
Yuck.
I know.
Yuck. Do it in the car.
Yeah.
For God's sake. That's a question mark as well for me, but yeah.
So there you go. You have now proved that sex can kill. And especially, when you're being cheeky after a New Year's Eve party and you're cheating, even though it's an open marriage.
Be careful.
Be careful. Don't have sex on the ground next to a toxic dump. That's the lesson from today.
If you smell rotten eggs in the air,
get out.
Get out. Don't just get down and dirty.
Don't get used to the smell.
It might just cost you your life. Exactly.
It's awful. I don't mean to laugh about this tragic double death, but it's really fascinating. I think I'd like to see the documentary by Peter Butt.
I'm going to try and find a link to it and maybe pop it on the Patreon if I can find it. Or one of our amazing researchers, if you on the dark web sites that you're all on, find it, do let us know.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Well, this has been quite a mysterious and fascinating episode today. Marred with deaths at the beginning and during it. I'm sorry about all the death. Perhaps next week it'll be a bit less deathy.
Who knows?
Who knows? Because I don't even know what's next.
No, good. Well, and on that bright note, I think there's really only 3 things left to say.
Oh, wherever you are,
whatever you do,
just keep
eavesdropping.
eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Dropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping.
Dropping. Dropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping all day long. Eavesdropping. This is a song. Drop it like it's hot.
Here's a tip for you. There's a podcast out there with fans waiting to be your next customer. They tune in every week, they trust the host, and that host wants to talk about brands like yours in their own words to their audience. The problem is, you just haven't been introduced yet. We're Acast, where that introduction happens. As the world's largest podcast marketplace, we let you browse shows, see who's listening, and book host-read sponsorships or run your own ads all from one platform. Transparent pricing, real-time data, complete control. Start advertising on podcasts by visiting acast.com/advertise.